I scaled my business to $1.1 million in revenue last year. And in this video, I'm going to lay out the game plan to get to 5 million and also share the strategies that I wish that I did sooner to help me get there faster. So I own a company. It's called Flash Consulting. We work with home service businesses to help them increase their sales, keep their schedules full, doing digital marketing consulting for these businesses. I used to be in the trades and I was working at a home service business doing about $3 million in revenue, and I was helping them scale. And I uncovered this big problem that most of these home service businesses have where they need a consultant that understands their business. And that's where I came into play. When I first started out, this has been 5 years in the making to get to $1 million. When I first started out, it took me about a year and a half to 2 years to even figure out what my productized service was. What exactly do I do? So one of the first things that I wish I did sooner was productizing my service. When I first started, I was just selling my time for money, much like someone that's a good plumber would go and start a plumbing company and then just go out on the truck and do all the plumbing work. They weren't really building a real business. They were just owning a job and selling their time for money. That's a lot of what I was running into. But now we have a productized service. We have a team of 12 people. We have a back-end team that does all the digital marketing. We have a front-end team who are a team of consultants that are managing the clients. And we have a real business. So that's a little bit of where we're at and what we've done. So we just hit $1.1 million in 2024. I'm recording this like right before 2025, December 30th. And the goal for next year is to get to $2 million. And it took me 5 years to get to $1 million. And it's going to take 1 year to get to $2 million. And that's because now I have systems, processes, lead flow, SOPs, team members, and all of these things working together that are going to help us scale the business. On top of that, my business runs with monthly reoccurring revenue. And that allows me to be very predictable about next month. We might have 1 or 2 people drop off, then 1 or 2 people come on top of that. So that's kind of my goal for next year. And then to get to 5 million, I'm going to outline some of those things. But I just want to talk a little bit about getting to the $1.1 million mark and some of the issues that I see, because we work with companies that are 1 to 10 million in revenue and home service space. And a lot of times people they get to the $1 million mark, but they run into a lot of these issues, which I've been able to uncover, which that's why I'm very confident that we can get to 2 million. But these are the things that I've seen this trap that people fall into, especially if you're like 600, 700, 800,000. I was just there last year and I made the jump about 60% growth. And these are some of the big things that I uncover. So the first thing is productizing your service, which I mentioned before, getting that dialed in with your SOPs and processes, not just willy-nilly running out and doing stuff and hopefully one guy does it right and this other guy does something else right, but having a real process that everyone executes on. The second thing, it's a really good book called Who Not How by one of my favorite authors, Dan Martell. And he has this buyback replacement ladder principles. And this was something that was transformational for me, which helped me buy back my time. So the first rung on that ladder is admin. We just hired a executive assistant for me and to help out with the marketing side of things when I'm actually marketing my business. And it's been transformational. She helps get me on podcasts. She helps me create content. She helps manage my inbox. She helps communicate with customers via email when things come in. It's just really clean and it just helps make sure that everything is running properly. And that's the first thing is admin tasks. Most business owners, we see this all the time, their admin, their inbox, any of those redundant tasks that are just a time suck for them, they're not getting done. And if they're getting done, they're getting done on the weekends where you could just hire someone to do that for you. That's the first one. The second one is delivery. So we hired a director of digital marketing about 6 months ago. And that's been, again, transformational because now there's someone who's running point on all of the digital marketing stuff, where for the first 4 years, it was me and then a team and building SOPs. And I didn't have anyone to delegate or designate to be able to run this whole department. So that was the second thing, delivery. The third thing was marketing. So right now I still am doing the marketing, but I have my executive assistant who's helping me significantly with cutting down content that I'm creating. And I do, when I do sales calls, because I still do the sales calls, which is the fourth thing, I record all the sales calls and then we take that content and we cut it into shorts because I'm already answering questions on the sales calls. So then we can just utilize that content with just me just talking and answering questions into content. So it doesn't take me a ton of time. Another thing that I do with content is I have a ChatGPT prompt. And in that prompt, I have a basic prompt layout and then I put the I take the video and I take the transcripts or the subtitles and I plug it in using that prompt. And I say, with this prompt, use this script and then generate some type of social media content. And then now I have social media content to use over and over, and I can just use that process. And it doesn't take that long. It's just utilizing what I'm already doing to leverage and create more content. Gary Vee has a good saying for this. It's document instead of creating content over and over again. Just document what you're doing and then use that as your content. The fourth ladder, as I mentioned before, was sales, which probably in this next year to get to the 2 million, I'm going to need to hire a salesperson who's going to be really hunting and also nurturing a lot of the leads. The issue that we've been having is that we have lead flow for sure, probably about 5 to 10 leads a week, but we don't have a surplus of leads where it's sucking a lot of my time. And I still enjoy doing the sales calls. And obviously I have the passion for why I started the company. So I haven't fully replaced myself on that at all. And then the fifth one is management. And this is when you can replace yourself fully from all the management and truly run a business, which is the goal when you're scaling a business, especially to get to 5 million. For me, that's going to be the fifth tier that if I'm going to get to 5 million, I have to do that at a certain point. Probably going to be the $2 to $3 million mark where I get to that point, hiring a sales manager and an ops manager that can run point on both divisions. One of the other books that I like is called Who Not How. This has helped me tremendously to get to the $1 million mark. And before, I'm a very creative person. Also, just like most business owners, you think in the lens of, well, how can I do that? I can figure that out. I can watch YouTube. I'm sure I can knock that out. And you feel pretty confident in your skill set of figuring things out and executing. The problem is that as you continue to grow the business, especially to get to 7 figures, you get sucked in doing the hows over and over again. And it's just a black hole of how. And you look up and you have all these hows that you're trying to do. And this book by Dan Sullivan, I'm actually in his coaching program. It's called Who Not How. And it changes your mindset. When there's a new thing that comes up, instead of saying, well, how do I do this? You say, who can do this? Or who can I delegate this to? Or who can help me with this? And it doesn't necessarily have to be financially. It could be a win-win for both person or something along those lines. But when you change it from how do I do this to who can help me with this, it will unlock your ability from a time perspective and also from an execution perspective. I'll give you a good example. I used to like to do the thumbnails for the videos because it was fun. I'm creative. I like to create cool things. And my executive assistant, I said, hey, maybe take a shot at this. The first one she made, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I posted it and people are commenting like, wow, such great thumbnails. And I'm like, well, there you go. Who, not how. So that's a really good example of some of the things that I've been focusing on. And to make that jump from the last year to this year, from like 600, 700,000 to 1.1 million, those have been the big things. Replacing myself. I had this thing called Fire Phil season where it was just like, get rid of Phil. Why is Phil doing this? Why is he doing this? I need to be focusing on my zone of genius or what my unique ability, whatever I'm good at, which is sales, marketing, creating content, and getting on podcasts and talking about the passion that I have for what we do. Some of the big lessons that I've learned over this time frame is first, I like podcasting and I was on podcasts, but I didn't do it. I was on podcasts before. I had a blog before. And I didn't do it for Flash until I actually got invited out to Las Vegas to be on a podcast for Jobber. It's a CRM for home service businesses. And I went out there and the first episode came out and I got like 10 leads. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get on more podcasts. So I just started podcasting last year. I've done it for a whole year now. And it's unlocked so many great clients, great relationships, referral partners. Not only that, just creating really good content and helping a bunch of people. It's been a win-win all around, and it's been a great way to get leads and clients for us, for sure. The other thing is going all in on creating content. I read Gary Vee's book, Day Trading Attention, and in that book, he talks about just creating organic content, tons of organic content. Take the data, what works, what doesn't work, and then use that to make better content. And once you get that process dialed in, then you take that organic content and you run ads on it, which this is the strategy that I'm just implementing now into 2025. It took me 2024 was a year where I just really focused on content creation. I actually hired a video coach to help me create great content. And just within the last 3 to 6 months, my content has really changed in the way of helping people and having call to actions and me being able to articulate what I do and having a succinct message inside of that content, all from having this video coach. So that was something big that I really focused on and something that I wish I would have done earlier because I could see the impact that it can make on my business. Some of the other things, offering advice for people that are just starting out or people that are even at the $1 million mark that have been helpful for us is documenting our processes. If you read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he talks a lot about SOPs. We follow the system called Systemology, which is the sequel to E-Myth. And in that process, he talks about how to document all of your SOPs. These are your standard operating procedures. So that way things are happening the correct way. And if it's not happening that way, going back to the SOP and cleaning it up. So when I brought all these people on board, as I was talking about, I thought my SOPs were really, really good. And come to find out, they weren't that great. So when things were breaking down, instead of going to the person and saying, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? We would go back to the SOP and say, okay, did you follow the SOP? Yes. What part did we miss here so that it didn't get this outcome? Let's fix that going forward. And it's all about fixing the processes, because if you fix the process and the people don't follow it, well, that's on the people, and then you can get new people. But the process is, if you follow this process, you should have a predictable outcome. That's been very beneficial. And for a lot of companies that we work with that are in that $1 to $5 million range, specifically when it's home service, the processes are so hard because your technicians are out in the field. You have CSRs or customer service representatives answering the phones. And then you as a business owner, you're running around trying to make sure it all works. And when you don't have a process like a call script in place, site checklist, all these things that you need to have to make sure that things are happening the way that you would do them or the way that you want to do them, it just falls by the wayside. So SOPs, checklists are really good. Working on a scalable model. This was something that unlocked for me after the 2 years when I productized our service. My model was flawed. I was just selling my time for money. And a lot of times in the home service space, the model is not to, how much more work can I do? How many more plumbing jobs or electrical jobs or HVAC jobs can I go out on? You have to have a model in place that's going to scale with the business. And I'm at that point now where I have a scalable model. All I have to do is just get more inputs to put in, more people into the funnel, into the plan, execute the playbook, and then happy customers come out the other side. That's a scalable model. There's a good framework on this from Mike Michalowicz. He has a book called Clockwork, and he has a framework of 4 things, ACDC, like the band, but you want to attract people coming in. So how am I going to attract people coming in? Convert, how am I going to convert those people into customers? Deliver, how am I going to deliver the goods? And then how am I going to collect? Those are his 4 frameworks. So when you think about your business and you have a scalable model, you think about those 4 ACDC. How are you attracting? How are you converting? How are you delivering? How are you collecting? And then you have SOPs on those 4 things. That's a basic scalable model right there that can tighten up your business. And the last thing is, it's so hard when you have a model that's not scalable and you keep kicking it down the curb. It took me, like I said, 2 years to get to the point where I'm like, okay, how am I going to grow this thing? What's going to happen with this? And once I unlocked that, it was very easy for me to go for it. Now, up until this point so far in the video, I've been sharing with you, I hired this video coach. I'm in this coaching program. I'm investing in this. I hired these people. And if you're at $1 million and you're kind of still pinching pennies or you're not leveraging the ability to spend money on things, I was the exact same way. And I was holding my business back, to be completely honest with you. And the reason is because I had a scarcity mindset. I was always the guy, if you watch any videos on my channel, it was like, save your money, pay off debt, which I'm still all about that. But there's a certain point where it tips, where you have to invest the money and you have to almost tell yourself that I'm worth spending money on this. So I'll give you an example. I hired a coaching company, I think it was 2 years ago. So I was 3 years into business. I had never really spent money on coaching or anything like that. And I spent, I think it was like $9,000 or $10,000. That $9,000 or $10,000, did it help me grow my business? I would say yes. But more importantly, it gave me so much confidence that like I'm worth $10,000. Like I just spent $10,000 on myself and I'm worth it. And the company's worth it. And it's just very liberating to feel that way. And now you can go and say, hey, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to invest in? What's the next skill set that I need to invest in? A video coach, or how to scale a business to $10 million, or how do I build a sales team? Whatever it looks like, those are the things that have been freeing for me. And the best way that I found out how to do this was in allocating my money properly. So we use a game plan called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Basically, I take a percentage and I say, okay, this money is for marketing. This money is for professional development. This money is for investing back in the business. This money is for profit. This money is for payroll. This money is for operations. This money is for tax, whatever that looks like. By giving myself permission to do those things, it allowed me significantly to gain more skills, invest back in the business, and grow. And the last part to lessons learned is not relying only on referrals. So when I first started, I was really good at what I did, and I got referred pretty quickly from the clients that were super happy. And we're getting a bunch of referrals coming in. And even now, we still get referrals, of course. Who doesn't want referrals? But what I found is it's not a scalable model. Referrals are unpredictable. You can get referrals coming from all over the place, but it's not the only way to get leads. And it's also, you don't know if you're going to get referred next month, in the next 6 months, in the next year. Hopefully you get referred, but you don't have a predictable way. So I had to solve that problem. So let's talk a little bit about the blueprint to get to $5 million. So I'm at 1.1. Next year, with our monthly recurring revenue that we have in place, I should be able to get to 2 to 2.3 million. But I'm going to walk you through our blueprint of how I'm going to do this. So it took 5 years to get to 1 million. It will take 1 year to get to 2 million this year, and we could even blow past that. So in my business, each consultant that we have can manage $800 to $1 million in revenue for all of their clients. So their book of business can be $800 to $1 million. And our consultants are like account managers, but they're consultants because they're more ingrained in the business. So just looking at those numbers, if you want to get to 5 million and they can do $800 to $1 million, I need 5 consultants. Right now we have 3 consultants. So if we were to say, hey, I have 3 consultants, and if they're all maxed out, we should be doing around $3 million. That's basically the team that we have right now in place. So I have a lot of team members, and now I'm filling in with leads through this year so that way we can scale up. It's a better position. We got kind of caught last year where we had a good amount of lead flow and we didn't have that third consultant and people were maxed out. So we're at a good spot now where we have the team in place to grow. And the biggest thing is we need to find the right leads. So I mentioned before about referrals are good, and we do get referrals, but it's a little unpredictable. So here's some of the things that we're doing. First is content creation. So when we looked at LinkedIn, when we look at podcasting, when we look at YouTube content, we're going full force. We've been doing this for the past year of YouTube content on a weekly basis. That's very educational and talking about stories, not just educating to educate, but like, hey, here's how we scaled this company to $3 million. Here's how we did X, Y, and Z. Here's how we increased this company's leads by 30%. And walking them through the real results that our clients have had has been really good and gets really good engagement. Also on LinkedIn is video content on LinkedIn has been transformational because the written word is good, but LinkedIn is shifting a lot to video. And when we can create educational video with a call to action, we've been getting leads on LinkedIn pretty steadily. So that's been a big focus for us. The third one is ads. So this was a big unlock for me. I was never a big ads guy. Even when I was doing digital marketing before, it was just very heavy SEO, solid branding, email marketing, bringing people to the funnel, just really solid brand building, which I still am all about that. But the ads part was the part that I was always missing because I used to think ads were good, but I also felt like it could be a black hole if you didn't do it right, and I didn't know how to do it. Alex Hormozy has a good saying, which is, Facebook, people are spending billions of dollars on Facebook and ads, same with Google. So it's not that it's not working, it's just you don't know how to do it. So I've really been focusing in 2025. That's going to be a big focus for us is using the organic content that we're creating because it's really good content. Like you can see the views that I've been getting. I can see the views that I've been getting on my content. And so I'm using that then to run ads on the book, Day Trading Attention by Gary Vee. He talks about creating organic content, using that organic content to run ads on the good content that people like, then taking those ads and getting leads from it. I also read this book called Sell Like Crazy, where he has a 3-part framework. You create a high value content offer. So something that's like 7 ways to get a 6-pack abs or something like that. And not change your diet. Let's say that's it. Then you create a landing page and you run ads to that landing page. People give you their email address and then they turn into a lead. And then you have a Godfather offer after that, which says, don't just read this, implement this thing. And I guarantee that you'll do this in the next 90 minutes. If you get a 6-pack abs in the next 90 minutes, whatever that sounds like. But that's the framework that we're looking at from Google Ads that we're going to be executing in 2025 to hopefully ramp up our lead volume. That's more of a scalable, predictable way. And then the fourth thing, which I've been really good at this, is that branding and awareness side of things. Like we just surpassed 100 5-star reviews on Google. We have a decent presence in the marketplace. Like I've been on Jobber podcast a bunch. I'm speaking at their summit event. and some of these other bigger players in the market, I've been able to immerse our brand inside of those. So we have a decent brand awareness, I would say, but it's definitely not to the point that it needs to be to actually build a $5-10 million business. So those are the big four: referrals, content and podcasts, running ads from our organic content, and then continuing with branding and awareness, whether it's through reviews, customer testimonials, getting on podcasts, or doing other things with these bigger brands. There's a really big part to this for companies that are like 1 to 5 million, 1 to 10 million even, which is being very strategic about what you're focusing on the next year. A lot of times people just run the same playbooks and do the same things over and over again. And even from a digital marketing perspective like us, we have our basic playbook that we implement in these businesses, but they still, it's not that needs to change. What needs to change is in their business, did this work or did this not work? And then how can we make this better? If it's working, do more of it. If it's not working, do something different. That's the two outcomes. And so there needs to either be more or something different that happens. And I think a lot of times businesses just fall into the same old mold of, oh, well, that doesn't work for us because we did this, and this doesn't work for us because we did that. And they're not looking for the next thing or the next best way to do something, which I think is very important that I've been focused on. Cool. So hopefully you got some value out of this. If you are growing your business, I'm curious to get your thoughts on some of the things that I shared. You can comment down below. Also, maybe some things that are helping you if you're going to that 1 to 2 to $3 million mark. I'm curious to hear, especially about like getting leads. What are some of the things that you're working for you that you've been trying? If you're a home service business owner, we have our channel Flash Consulting. You can check it out. We have so much good content on there. I'm going to be sharing at least monthly on this channel and on our podcast about my progress getting towards this goal, because I really want to make sure that I document the things that I'm facing and the problems and tribulations every single month of how this is working or how this is not working and the lessons that I'm learning. So if you like stuff like that, be sure to hit subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.